Throughout history, there has been a relentless human desire for freedom and equality. For example, the United States fought a civil war to put an end to slavery. And leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. devoted their lives for the goal of equal rights for all. Ultimately, there was a societal change in how slavery and discrimination were viewed. This changed the way human beings treated each other. However, we now have another form of slavery. It's thriving globally and even affecting our local communities. This form of slavery is called human trafficking. During this speech, I'm going to talk about what human trafficking is, its influence in the United States, and what measures are being taken to stop it. So what exactly is human trafficking? According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, human trafficking is the recruiting, transporting, transferring, harboring, or receiving a person through a use of force, coercion, or other means for the purpose of exploiting them. Since human trafficking is such a broad term, it's difficult to come up with an appropriate working definition. There are two main types of human trafficking: forced labor and commercial sex exploitation. For the purpose of this speech, I'm going to just talk about the sex trafficking aspect of it. When you hear the phrase human trafficking, what comes to mind? Maybe you think about the red light districts in India where hundreds of young girls are being held captive in disgusting brothels, being forced to perform sexual acts on men twice their age. You believe that this is just a foreign issue, occurring overseas in third world countries. Unfortunately, that is far from the truth. According to the May 2010 edition of Gender Issues, the United States is now one of the top 10 destinations for domestic and international trafficking, with tens of thousands of people trafficked into the country each year. In terms of revenue, human trafficking is second on the list behind drug and weapon sales. The UN actually estimates that the market is at $35+ billion per year. Many states say that organized crime and gang rings have turned to selling teens and children instead of drugs and weapons. It's a market-driven industry that relies on the exploitation of humans, and it's all about the supply and demand for the pimps and johns. Making money is their only motivation. About 80% of persons trafficked are women and children, especially into the sex industry. In the U.S. alone, 100,000 to 200,000 children are estimated to be in the sex industry per year. Human trafficking may seem like just a foreign topic to most Americans, but it needs to be made evident that these pimps are hitting closer to home than we thought. According to the March 14, 2006 broadcast of Minnesota Public Radio, the public officials state that Minnesota is now considered a destination for human trafficking. It's a frightening fact, especially since many of the students at Stout call Minnesota home. It's frightening for anyone to realize that this is happening in their own hometowns. Minnesota is looked at from a trafficker's perspective as an ideal location. It has a diverse population full of immigrant communities, and it's easy to disguise someone who is from a foreign country. Sharing a border with Canada, a harbor in Duluth, and the Twin Cities International Airport also makes transporting these individuals easier on the pimps and johns. If this is such a major global problem, what measures are currently being taken to stop it? The civil society and the Polaris Project have taken action into their own hands. They have set up rehabilitation centers for the survivors of human trafficking, have alerted the government of what needs to be done, and have created action plans for how to stop it. Awareness is a huge part of rescuing these victims. According to the Polaris Project website, accessed June 18, 2011, if you suspect someone is being trafficked, you can contact the National Human Trafficking Resource Center hotline. Another major campaign for anti-trafficking is known as the Blue Heart Campaign. According to the Blue Heart Campaign website, accessed June 20th, 2011, they seek to encourage involvement and inspire action to help stop this crime. Being able to educate others is important in rescuing these victims. They are crying out for help, and they just want to be heard by someone. Being able to know the signs and symptoms of someone being trafficked is also crucial. People need to realize that this is not a victimless crime. Young girls are forced into the sex trafficking industry. They are vulnerable, and these pimps and johns take advantage of them. There have been significant changes and steps that have been made to help them, and the community globally and locally need to keep pressing forward to help these individuals, because it will only get worse with time. As the book Human Trafficking by Joyce Hart puts it, these individuals are given false promises of money, new jobs, education, and better lives. Then the promises are broken. The victims of trafficking are trapped. No human should ever feel trapped.